Hey everybody, I'm Tim Baldermann and welcome to this edition of Too Honest for Social Media, where we talk about all kind of issues, especially local issues here in New Lenox. I am really honored and excited to have as my guest today Don Winnie. You hear me talking to Don on a regular basis as we do these podcasts. He's back in the control room taking care of business, but we thought we'd drag him out from behind the curtain today and put him in a position that I know he's not as comfortable with, but he's a pro, so I'm sure it's going to work out well. How you doing, Don?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, so are you excited to be out here on this side of the camera?
Well, it's not a secret. I prefer to be on the back side of the camera.
Yeah.
Big thank you to Rich for covering down the fort in the control room for us.
Yeah, Rich has been one of our volunteers for many, many years, does a fantastic job, and we'll get into that. But let's talk all things Don Winnie. We're going to talk professional. We're going to talk personal. We're going to really dive deep, Don. There's, people are going to really know the real Don Winnie. They don't even get to see you, but they're going to know you very, very well at the end of this podcast. Are you ready?
Sure, let's fire it up.
All right, well, let's talk. So you started here in the village well before it was even a career for you. Talk about your very earliest start here with the village in New Lenox.
So I grew up, it goes before New Lenox,
Sure.
really. I grew up in Mokina, and when I was doing an 8th grade step-up day to Lincoln Way, when it was just one Lincoln Way back then, they had all the extracurricular peoples and clubs all to, introduce themselves to 8th graders, so you join them. And I met Tom Arthur and Lincoln Way Television, and I was really interested in what they did. And so when I went to Lincoln Way, I joined Lincoln Way Television, which at that time had a really strong partnership with New Lenox Community Television in the village of New Lenox. We provide a lot of extra labor for bigger productions like the Loyalty Day Parade, some of the graduation, a couple of concerts and that stuff. Not those concerts, but like Lincoln Way concerts.
Sure.
We could borrow the truck from Comcast even. They used to have a portable truck for us to rent out. Through New Lenox Television, they'd rent the truck, but then Lincoln Way TV Kids would be the ones that staff it. So I said my history of New Lenox Television goes back all the way to 1998.
So 1998, so that's 8th grade into freshman year, is that what it was?
Once I was a freshman and at Lincoln Way, that's when I started having interactions with Lincoln Way Television. New Lenox Community Television.
Right.
And then, after I graduated Lincoln Way, I became a member of New Lenox Television directly. And I've been part of this thing ever since 2002 on some level or another.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, 24 years officially, but like you said, for quite a few years before that, you were involved in one way or another, even as a student, just with your interest in it.
Yep.
That's great. So Tom Arthur, I knew Tom well. When I started here in 2001, Tom was running in controls, and my kids, who are now 30, what the hell are they? They're 32 and 31 years old, would come with me and sit back with Tom and during the board meetings and kind of watch what he was doing. So you've been involved for quite a while. Tom did a nice job with this here. And how long was Tom involved? Do you know?
Oh, he was involved for a long time before I met him, which was back in like 98.
Probably very beginning he was involved with this here, right?
All the way through, I don't know how, because the station went on in like 87. I remember Papa Shaper used to tell me the stories about when they first fired up. It used to be on for 2 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday, and someone would have to sit there and put in the tape and hit play.
Wow.
And that was all the way back when the original office, which was actually in where Raffy's Candy now is now, where the ice cream parlor was, that was the original Channel 6 space.
Oh, wow.
All the way in the back of that building. So I said, when I knew Papa Shaper way back when.
Sure.
And he shared all these stories in the beginning. And I don't think Tom was involved that early on, but certainly before 98, 97, and all the way through his passing in 2008.
2008. So you're working 2002 on, and then Tom passes in 2008. Do you just step up then at that point? And
said Tom's passing was kind of unexpected.
Right.
And me and his widow at the time, Sue Duvan, took over the station when he passed, and then we ran it together for a while, and then I became full-time at the village and started taking it on myself, and I've been running it ever since.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So obviously a lot's changed. Is there still outreach with the schools, with Channel 6, now that it's just part of the village, or is that not something that really happens much anymore?
In the beginning, there was outreach, and we were working with them. Back then, though, there wasn't like YouTube or anything. So like if they wanted their content to be seen by anybody, it ended up filtering through either New X Television for our station or Frankfurt Television, Mokina Television, because there wasn't a YouTube or a way for them to directly access audiences. Since the YouTube era and social media kind of took off, there's been a separation there. They haven't needed us, and like the connection has kind of fallen apart. But in the beginning, there was a lot of interaction with them. In fact, when Lincoln Way West first opened, I started the Lincoln Way West Television Club, or attempted to, along with another volunteer, John Petrowski. And we fired up and we did the home football games for the first year with Lincoln Way students to help us. And the first game or two went great, and then the kids just dropped off. Big issue was there was only 3 grades at the time when they first opened.
Sure.
So like you took a small, very small school size and cut it down by 25%, and they just didn't have the bodies to keep it going at the time. So after that first year, actually Rich started helping me along with Dave Butterfield, and we used to just tape the full home football games for years, just the 3 of us.
Sure. Now, you talk about YouTube, social media. Obviously, so much has changed since you got involved, since you started 25 years ago, 20, even more than that, like you said, 1998, 28 years ago when you were interested in doing this. Now, every kid can be a YouTube star, a podcast person. They do their thing on their phone or on their device. I heard... actually, it was Edge from U2 was on the radio, and he was talking about the way that kids can record music now off their devices. It's better technology than when he first would go into the recording studio with U2 and start recording music. It's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. The technology in the last 20 years I've been doing. When I started doing this, we used to tape everything on VHS, and editing was from one VHS to another one. So it was all tape to tape, basic editing. And that's how I learned back in the day. And it wasn't even a fancy, like, sophisticated editor. It was just taking 2 decks and hitting play and record on them at the same time. That's how we learned at Lincoln Way Television. So the technology has just massively improved things. And the price threshold, the cost of everything back then was insanely expensive. So back when I was young, if you want to do anything like this, you couldn't really afford it on your own. So you went to New X Television, Lincoln Way Television. That's where you got the access to the equipment and do that stuff. And now the things that you can do with a cell phone these days is just phenomenal. And infinitely better than what you could do with VHS back in the day.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that in 1986, 1987, my uncle owned a VCR repair shop, and I worked for him fixing VCRs. And back then, I mean, we would fix someone's VCR for $200 or $300 because the machine cost $1,500 or something. And then pretty soon, you could get VCRs for $200, so there was no sense in fixing it. You just tossed it, and now they don't even exist anymore, at least not to any level that anyone has them in their homes, I don't believe.
I still have 2 or 3 in the storage room.
Is that what you in the storage? Yeah, they're paperweights. So let's kind of talk about that. You talked a little bit about the technology back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Tell us how it's evolved over the last 25 years, and where do you see it going? Where do you see cable television going? Where do you see this technology going? Is there a career for people to get into it at this level, or has it just changed so much?
That's a very big question.
It is a big question. Take your time, Don. This is your show.
Obviously, technology is always improving. The stuff I remember when I first started, one of the first things I bought was a second computer just to import footage, because everything had to be loaded in at real time. So if I went and shot a 2-hour concert, it took 2-hour computer time to load that footage into the systems. Now with a memory card, I can bring in a 4K footage in minutes into the system. So the amount of work and quality work a single person can do is just infinitely more than it was when I first started doing video stuff way back when. And that's only keeps going. The technology is improving. The amount of stuff I can do with just myself or with one volunteer. There's been concerts out there that we tape during like the Cruise the Commons, Fridays After 5, where we're out there, and me and another volunteer will be out there, and we'll do a 4 or 5, 6 camera shoot of the band on the stage with just the 2 bodies now.
Wow.
Because I can frame things a little bit looser with like a 4K camera, and then in post-production I can kind of crop it in a little bit. So I have to have someone sitting there moving the camera, and every time the artist shifts in their chair a little bit. So it takes a little more work on the post-production side, but I said I used to need 4 cameras or 4 bodies out there to run 4 cameras, and now it's kind of scaled down that way.
Wow.
And that's not even going into like robotic cameras. We have the 5 cameras in the boardroom, which I can run by myself with a joystick from our control room here in the studio, and I can do a 5 camera production for every board meeting that's in there solo, and it's not too much. So technology is just massively and always improving. One of the coolest things is 360 cameras, because at some point when the technology finishes improving, I could line 2 or 3 360 cameras on the front of the stage. And then in post-production, I can have a shot of this person or a shot of these two people or a shot of the drummer, all from that one position. And then you can shoot any angle you want of it. Once that technology is there, like, it's infinite number of cameras. It's just how many do you want to bring into the editing software and how many angles, and just do whatever you want to. So like I said, the technology is amazing what you can do these days. And it's constantly getting better.
All right. So if there's a young person, I mean, all these young people are interested in one way or another. But if they're interested in it in a career other than, as Sarah likes to give me shit because for whatever reason or another, my Facebook page says I'm a digital creator, although I don't know what that is. But other than or is it just now where kids can create their own little TikToks or pages and end up with 70,000 followers and make money off that? Is there a career path for people who are interested in the production side of this technology still?
You're always going to have people that need technology support, but the number of hats you have to wear is just growing every year.
Okay.
So anyone that wants to get in on the back side of the camera, you have to be prepared to learn and keep learning and changing things as things constantly evolve. But honestly, I think the biggest factor in success these days is personality more so than the technology. The people that have successful YouTube channels all have the personalities to pull it off and are successful and talkative, and I think that's a bigger driver for success these days than like your technical skills. You don't see too many people that are bad in front of the camera that are succeeding on YouTube, you know?
No, I mean, there's some real idiots out there. I guess that's entertaining. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about being a good personality. It doesn't necessarily mean intelligent, or it just means you're entertaining, I guess. But,
entertaining and engaging.
Engaging, exactly. And people like that. And I really think, it's not anything I came up with. Attention spans are getting shorter. People want this quick hit as opposed to the hour and a half, 2 hour deal.
Well, and that's probably the biggest change I've had since taking over the station, and we've kind of had to reinvent ourselves a couple different times over the years. When I first started, everything was 2 hour productions. We used to have like the musician who came out to Play Day in the Commons back when we used to, wasn't Play Day in the Commons, what would we call it? Kids Fest.
Kids Fest, yeah.
Kids Fest when we first started. Like the Critter Show would be out there and do a half-hour Critter Show, and I used to record the whole thing and air it on the station because like that's what you did. And now we do Play Day in the Commons, and it's a 60 to 90 second little recap of all the things that happened, because no one wants to watch the magician doing his 30-minute act and the Critter Show doing their 30-minute act anymore.
Right.
They can watch the YouTube channel with the guy with the animals and critters and showing it directly to the camera. So over time, we went from taping like a lot of long form stuff to doing a lot of short form stuff, because that's where the attentions are, and they're just getting shorter and more short form stuff. When I first started, we started doing the restaurant show. We used to spend a half hour at a restaurant with Dave Smith.
Yeah.
And we talk to the owners, we try the food, we go in the kitchen and like demonstrate stuff, like them making entrees and that stuff. It was a half hour big to do. No one's going to watch that anymore. That's
Is that why you bust my balls about how long the podcasts go? You say I got to keep them abbreviated?
Yeah.
All right. Well, not today, pal. We're going to drag this thing out for you.
I was really hoping to set a new record for the shortest one.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right. So that is really interesting. But so you have had a tremendous group of volunteers that have given a lot to this community, given of their time to this community and their talents to this community. Do you still recruit for that? Is there still a need for people who we need here at Channel 6 and with everything you're doing?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of what I do that I couldn't do without my volunteers.
Yeah.
The Loyalty Day Parade is probably one of our biggest productions of the year every year. We set up 4 or 5 cameras. We have a couple announcers. We switch it live, so there's a director calling the shots.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we need 7, 8, 9 people to pull it off, and it's a fun shoot. It's a good production, and the whole community goes through that parade at some point or another.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of things, like I said, the Cruise the Commons. I can have one other volunteer with me, and we can do 4 or 5 cameras. And on my own, I couldn't do that much. So the volunteers are a force multiplier. They help me do a lot more than I could possibly do on my own. And if I didn't have them, it would be noticeable, the impact on the station.
All right. One of the things that obviously we have been relying on you for, and we're going to continue to rely on you, is we're making a real push for marketing our community. And Sarah's been on here. She does a wonderful job. Everyone in Beth's department does a great job. But you possess skills that they don't have. So talk about what you're doing to help the village of New Lenox from that, from a marketing standpoint? What are some of the things that you provide?
I love that we have Sarah. I'm
Yeah.
very happy to have someone doing the marketing stuff, because a lot of times before Sarah, it was me and occasionally Beth helping me out, and we'd have to I get instructions from above saying, hey, we need a video to promote 355 or Route 6, or the police department wanted a recruiting video, and it was just me with the assistance of a couple volunteers and whatever staff members I could rope in to help do stuff. So having Beth and Sarah is a huge force multiplier for what we can do here. But they have the skills, and they help me create the message, and I usually help create the content and the final output, and it's been a great working relationship. And there's going to be a lot more to come.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, even things like everyone was so excited about, I shouldn't say excited, everyone was talking about the roundabout. But even you being able to provide drone footage of that and what it looked like and how it worked, a lot of people are, like myself, are visual learners. They like to see those things. I think you can, and you have, assisted the community in that way as well.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we tried to put out the materials ahead of time beforehand, like how to use a roundabout and that stuff. But I think my favorite thing is we just threw the drone up after it opened, and I think I shot a 8-minute span in the air, and I accelerated it just so people could see how traffic actually moves through the roundabout as it was open. And I know it got received well on Facebook and social media. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, Don Winnie, the person. Let's hear a little bit about Don. You said you grew up in Mokena?
Yep, I grew up in Mokena, Midlothian before that, but in kindergarten or first grade, we moved to Mokena, and I've been in this area roughly my whole life. I've joked I've always lived within a mile of Route 6. It just happens to be moving farther away from Mokena as I get a little bit older.
Yeah.
I moved into Joliet, and now I live in Channahon, and yeah.
You're not getting off that easy, pal. It's not just where you've lived. Tell us more about Don. What are your interests? What are your hobbies? You do a great job for us. You put a lot of time in here. What people don't understand, when school board meetings for the district were recorded, you were there quite a bit. You've done so many off hours. You do our board meetings at night. You do an awful lot like that. But what does Don Winnie do when he's not working?
I love movies. I worked at the Marcus Theaters in Orland Park starting in high school, and I kept that job as a part-time side gig for a very long time just for the free movies. So I do a lot of movie watching, a lot of audiobooks, like my time on my commute with I-80 being its wonderful self. I get a lot of audiobook time in the car.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot. I have friends. We do a bar trivia league usually once a week, so that's
bar trivia guy, huh?
Yeah, I can give out my good spot now because I don't go there anymore. But Union Bar in Tinley Park is where we went for a long time for trivia.
Okay.
It's been fantastic. But we're now going to a new place, which I can't tell you about because I don't want the good, smart people coming in.
You don't want to come in and beat you? Is that what it is?
I like winning the gift cards. And if I tell the smart people where I'm at, they're going to win them instead.
Something tells me you're pretty smart. So you've got a team that you actually do this with?
Yeah. There's a group of us. They started off as 4 of us, 10, 12 years ago. Now there's about 8 or 9 of us. Not everyone comes every week. But
right. But you have the same group of guys. See, I know there's bar trivia, but I'm not familiar. So it's like anything else, like a bowling league. You got a team,
yeah,
and you just interchange the players, and you go, and it's not just for fun. You're winning gift cards and prizes and stuff.
Some places, every place is different. Some places have better gift cards than others, but yeah, usually there's a prize if you get in the top 3 or something like that.
Oh, is there a particular night of the week that is bar trivia night?
Usually tends to be Tuesdays and Wednesdays because restaurants are slow those days and they need extra buys to come in.
All right.
So those tend to be the busier nights, but usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can find trivia places.
So
Rosati's actually has a good trivia game, I think, on Tuesday nights, and then they have I think it's Family Feud on Wednesdays. I've been to both of those. That's fun.
You have?
Yeah,
all right,
Rosati's by Rising Sunday.
Yeah, so tell us about your team. Are you guys like this year's Seattle Seahawks, or are you the Atlanta Falcons of trivia?
Luckily, I have smarter friends than I am, so they do well. I got a couple teachers. That's the ringers. I got some teachers in there.
Is that right?
So, one's an English teacher, so if anything literary comes up, they got that kind of stuff. And
do you have particular topics that you excel at? I mean, is it 90s TV, or is it? I mean, what is it? Film, I imagine, right?
Every trivia game is different. I tend to do well in film. I love history, so I tend to do well in the history stuff. So,
all right, good for you. Well, all right, what else does Don Winnie do for fun? What's your?
I work a lot, Tim.
Yeah, I know you do.
There's always things happening.
I know you. You are constantly working. What about your vacations, Don? What about your? What's your vacation highlights?
I've fallen in love with cruising.
You have?
Yep, I went on 1 the last 2 years, and I'm actually going on 2 this year. So.
All right. Have you a particular cruise line, or?
I've done Royal Caribbean and Celebrity, and I've enjoyed both of them.
All right, and you're doing trivia when you're on the cruises, aren't you?
I actually do.
Yeah.
There's
Have you ever
usually
won the little boat trophy? Because I actually did that on a cruise
Never
once.
won a boat trophy. I've won
I
like
did.
the little keychains, and the best thing I ever won was a little like a glue thing that you put your room card in that you attach to the back of your phone.
Okay.
That was my best prize. I
Wow.
won that on like day one, and I used it all trip. That was fantastic.
There you go. All right. Well, that's good stuff. Don, you really do a tremendous job for us. And like anything else, with all of our employees, people they see the fruits of your effort, but they don't realize just how much hard work goes into doing what you're doing and different hours and everything else. Your commitment to the village for 28 years is really amazing. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tim.
What else do you think the people need to know?
My volunteers.
Yeah, talk about them.
They're great. I have a fantastic group of volunteers. Any given time, we usually have around 5 or 10, depending on how you want to count them. Some people only come around for 1 or 2 things a year, which is fantastic. I've always said it's kind of like a build your own adventure volunteership. I put out these are the upcoming shoots, and people sign up for what they want and what they can do. So I got a couple volunteers that volunteered actively for a while. Now they just come back for like the parade once a year, which is aces.
Yeah.
Anything a volunteer does, I appreciate because they're taking time out of their lives to give us a service for free. Rich, who's currently holding down the control room for me.
Yeah.
He volunteered to do it so I could come in front of the camera.
Well, we'll see how he did. If we're if we're off center, we'll have to figure out how Rich did in there, whether or not he can cover for you again next time.
But Rich is actually tied for my oldest volunteer. When I first took over the station, we ran a class to try and recruit some people because the volunteers at the time were pretty on the low side. And I got Rich, John, Rich's son Ethan, and Bill, who are all still with me now 15 years later.
Wow.
They all came to that very first class.
That's great commitment.
Rich, I'm not missing anyone, right? That's the 4 that are from the first class still? Yeah.
All right. Well, Rich, thank you for that, pal. And thank you for today, and thank you for your 15 years of service to the village. We appreciate it. Are there still AV clubs in school, or is that kind of a thing in the past?
Lincoln Way TV still exists at, as far as I know, all 3 campuses. Lincoln Way Television Central does quite a bit of stuff. I've seen their stuff on YouTube and that stuff. So they're very much still involved, and they're doing great things. I've talked a little bit here and there with their different sponsors, teachers that run the clubs. They said they don't need us anymore, so they can just go to YouTube and live stream stuff themselves, and that's all great. And then we stopped really doing the sports stuff. For a long time we did football and basketball games. But once that technology came out for them to do the live streams with the robotic cameras that don't even have people manned, it kind of became a, move on to new things for us. So
yeah, but as we discussed, your role has changed and has evolved, but is still critical to the success of our village here. And even in private business, there are people who did what you did and now are evolving just like you are. So I still think it's important that young people realize that if this is a passion of theirs, they can't all be in front of the camera on YouTube, like you said, that they should know that these jobs exist and how you are now helping with marketing and everything else that we're doing here in the village. So I think it's important that young people know that.
Yeah, the era of specialization, at least for video stuff, is long since over. You have to be able to do a little bit of everything, or at least enough of everything to keep things going.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what, I am very, very grateful for you as the mayor. You have done such an incredible job for us for so many years. I appreciate you being willing to come out in front of this side of the camera. I know that's not something that you wanted to do, but you deserve a lot of credit. People hear your name quite a bit. We've talked about you at board meetings. I've talked about you in speeches I've given. We talked about you on a podcast regularly. It's people like you who make all of this possible. So thanks again for your service to our town. And I know for many years to come, you're going to be doing great things for us. Appreciate you. All right. Well, you got the chance to meet the man behind the curtain, the wizard, Don Winnie. And I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to this edition of Too Honest for Social Media.
Stealing your life.